So the two main players in Afghanistan, any solution, are the United States and Pakistan. The heads of the two governments have not spoken yet. I want to know the state of relations between your government and President Joe Biden's government on Afghanistan, and moving forward, do you think that Pakistan is going to be scapegoated? And what is Pakistan's strategy when it says we have other options? The NSA has also expanded.
Let me say three things. Number one, Pakistan has already been being made a scapegoat by our Afghan government. And the Afghan government is doing so because it is blaming Pakistan for all the misgovernments and the kleptocratic government that Afghanistan has been. I mean, clearly 70,000 of Taliban should not be sort of dominating a 300,000 well-equipped with air cover Afghan unless the population is helping the Taliban. It cannot happen otherwise. So rather than looking at the reasons why they have not been able to provide the governance that was required for winning over the population, and secondly, the whole hasty way that the Americans have certainly left. The Americans, if you wanted a political settlement, common sense is that you do the political settlement from a position of strength. So when you have 150,000 NATO troops there, that was the time to do a political settlement. People like me were all the time saying that, you know, there's no military solutions to do a political settlement. I was called anti-American. I was called Taliban Khan because of that. And people like us were sort of sidelined for even talking about a political settlement. So having not done a political settlement from a position of strength, now blaming Pakistan when you have, when there's no leverage left, when the Taliban think they're winning, for the Afghan government, mind you, first time I'm seeing that the Afghan government are now blaming the Americans the way they exited. So they too are now blaming the Americans. So finally, and the other thing about, you know, I keep having the President Biden hasn't called me. Well, it's his option if he wants to call or not. It is business if he thinks it's necessary or not. I mean, not that I am waiting for any phone call. You know, it's his prerogative.
These are friends are visiting from Delhi, so I just thought maybe we can have a difference of strategy in Delhi and Pakistan on Corona also. The way we fought is totally different.
Can I ask one last question towards Afghanistan? You're a close ally to China. What would you see the future role of China in Afghanistan?
I think the answer to your question also is that I think that the Americans have decided that India is a strategic partner now. And I think that's why there's a different way of treating Pakistan now. And also they feel that we're very close to China and then they want to sideline China. So I think in the broader strategic policy of the US, I think that's what is reflected in the way they have dealt with Pakistan. Pakistan is just considered only to be useful in the context of somehow settling this mess which has been left behind after 20 years of trying to find a military solution when there was not one. I feel that China is an emerging superpower, and China is, for us, for Pakistan, it's very important because China has helped us in a very difficult time. You know, so we are obviously grateful to China the way they've helped us. But it's not an exclusive thing. You know, even CPEC for us is we've invited all the countries, Europeans, any country can join us in this. Pakistan's main concern now is economics. Our real concentration is now to lift, we have 220 million people. My main job is to look at their well-being, lift people out of poverty. And from that point of view, China has been very helpful because China has done probably no in human history, no country has ever done, lifting almost 700 million people out of poverty. So that's really our main, where China is helping us a lot.
Will China have a role in Afghanistan?
China is a neighbor. You know, obviously China will have a role in the rebuilding of Afghanistan. Yes, I think so.
Sir, can I have just one last question? Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has proposed to involve Pakistan and Hungary to protect and run Kabul's international airport following the withdrawal of other NATO-led foreign troops. So far, no clear response has come from Pakistan. What is the Pakistan position to safeguarding the Kabul airport?
I've just had a meeting with Turkey's defense minister, and we will be trying. The best thing is for Turkey and the Taliban to have a face-to-face dialogue, so both can talk about the reason why that Kabul airport has to be secured. And so we will be talking to the Taliban to use our influence for them to have a face-to-face talk with Turkey. You see, again I repeat, if the Taliban take over, because Afghanistan is ethnically divided population. Pashtun are only about 45% of the population. Then there are Tajiks, then there are Hazara, Uzbeks. So it's a Afghanistan, the reason it has been a decentralized government is because of the different population mix. So therefore, if one population tries to impose itself on the rest, one ethnic group, there will be a constant, unrest in Afghanistan. And that is not what Pakistan wants, which is why we want an exclusive government. Because if there is unrest, Pakistan will be affected because, as I said, we have a larger Pashtun population here than in Afghanistan. And Pashtun are probably the most xenophobic people on earth. They fight each other normally, but when there is an outside thing, they all get together. And so it affects. So Pakistan got sucked into Afghanistan after 2001 when when we sided with the American supposedly war on terror, but this converted into something else. And we had a civil war in our tribal areas. And that was the main reason. We had two reasons why Pakistan lost 70,000 people by joining the Americans. Number one, the old jihadi organizations which were created to fight jihad against the Soviets, they all turned against Pakistan because Pakistan suddenly was telling them that against Soviet occupation it was jihad, but against American occupation it's terrorism. So they turned against Pakistan. And then second was in the tribal areas, there was literally a civil war against Pakistan because we were pro-American. Basically all the sympathies were with Pashtuns, not Taliban, but the Pashtuns. And they turned against there was as I said, half the population was internally displaced of the tribal areas, which still is recovering from the devastation. Hence, it's in Pakistan's interest that there is a political settlement and all factions come, a government that represents everyone.
Reportedly, is U.S. fighter jet are coming from Qatar to Afghanistan through Pakistan's airspace. So is it true? And is there any agreement with the United States?
We have made it very clear that Pakistan is not, first of all, our soil will not be used to be, so that we get again embroiled in an Afghanistan civil war. So we do not want any bases in Pakistan. We don't want our soil to be used for attacks into Afghanistan. And as far as I know, that after 31st, the Americans are going to stop all sorts of even air attacks on Afghanistan.